My name is Jody Bielenberg Gonzalez. On July 5th, 2004, my little sister Jamie, who at the time was 2 weeks from her 25th birthday, and her husband Andy were brutally murdered in their home by someone they knew. You can find links below about what happened, but this video is about much more than what happened and is really about the impact that their deaths had on those who love them. My only request is that you watch this video in its entirety and follow the instructions at the end. Hopefully do one of two things: either share it on social media or take a few minutes to complete a form that will help us in our endeavors. What you're about to hear is a piece that I wrote about a year ago when my family learned that the man who murdered Jamie and Andy had been released from death row and that there would be a new sentencing hearing. Please note that these are just my thoughts and feelings and don't necessarily represent those of the Bielenberg or Schliepsik families. I said it didn't matter what punishment he received, that whatever the jury decided, it wouldn't bring my sister back. It wouldn't change the events of that evening. It wouldn't change my thoughts on humanity. It wouldn't change the trajectory of my life plan. But it does matter. It matters if I know that he's locked behind bars that will not let him free. It matters if I believe that I am safe, that our justice system allows the greatest punishment for someone who, I believe, committed the greatest crime. But for me, it matters because it allows him to continue to inflict trauma on me and my family. It matters because my sister did not die in a car accident. It matters because my sister's murder will continue to wage war on my family for as long as the appeal process is allowed to endure. Because his punishment, in so many ways, offered solace to my family. That the reversal of his sentence brings all of these emotions flooding back. It matters because we may have to sit again in a courtroom. I may again have to look at this man who did unspeakable things to my sister and 2 other people. It does matter because every day I know that he could go free is a day that I worry for the safety of others. I recall saying to my father once, not long after the trial, that it didn't matter. I recall him pleading with me that if he should die while these appeals are still in process, that I would continue to sit in the courtroom, that I would speak on Jamie's behalf, that I would continue to fight for justice in her and Andy's honor. And I don't remember if I said it to him or thought it to myself, or perhaps spoke about it to others. But I knew in my mind that if that day should come, I couldn't promise that 10, 20 years down the road, when I had children of my own, that I could stop everything I was doing to honor his request. And here I stand, 12 years later, a husband, 2 small daughters, a full-time job, a life with an intention of simplicity, free from the anxiety that has tormented me. And because of this decision, I am now facing all of the anxiety that wreaked havoc on my mind and body, resulting from the trauma my family experienced all those years ago. I want to think of resiliency, of all the amazing things I've learned as a social worker in the last 12 years since their deaths. But I'm once again drawn to the evil, magnetized by the pain, and pulled once again to Google the articles, force myself to read in black and white the things he did that night. And I don't believe I tried to avoid it all these years. Through my writing, therapy, and working with the bereaved, it was always close by. But the trial was something I always felt I could leave in the past. The trial was not my sister's legacy. It was a very small piece of her life story. It was not the memory I chose to honor. But this rekindling of the flames, this fuel added to the always burning embers, is more than I can handle on most days. I don't know how I'll react if we're called to testify again. What I would say to a jury to express the impact their murders have had on our families. Would I talk about the drinking, the panic attacks, or would I talk about resiliency? About my surviving sister finishing college so shortly after their deaths, and me going on to complete a master's degree a few years later? Or would I talk about our children, the nieces and nephew that Jamie would never meet, the aunt and uncle they would know only through stories and scrapbooks? Or tell it through my 3-year-old daughter's eyes, knowing only that Andy and Jamie are in heaven, and me deciding as she ages how much to share about that fateful night? How do you explain to a child that something so horrific can happen to someone in her family? And how do you explain that the person responsible could someday walk free? So with that thought, I will say, it does matter. It matters to the hundreds of people who were impacted by these deaths, whose sense of safety and security in the world was shaken, who were traumatized by the nature in which their lives were stolen, re-traumatized by reading and listening and viewing photos of the events during the trial, and inevitably again at this resentencing. In the end, his punishment matters. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my words. If you knew Andy or Jamie directly or indirectly, please consider taking a few minutes to help make a big impact for the upcoming trial. And you'll find a link below for a Google Doc that I created that will be utilized by the Air Force attorneys to really understand the ripple effect that occurred and have a way to capture the narratives and really try to ensure justice for Jamie and Andy. So please click the link below and add your contact information and a short paragraph about how you were impacted by their deaths, and maybe anything else that you feel is relevant in understanding more about their lives. So if you haven't already, please follow our updated Facebook page. There's also a link below to that, and add just a memory or a funny comment or something about Jamie and Andy on this, what would be the 13th anniversary of their deaths. And from the bottom of my heart, I